Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. 2 videos ago, I shared a tragic story with you of the brutal unaliving of California Fire Captain Rebecca Marodi. In that video, I also shared that police believed Captain Marodi knew her attacker. Well, now we know who they've named as their main suspect in the death of Rebecca Marodi. Her wife of 2 years. A manhunt is currently underway in Southern California and Mexico for Marodi's wife, 53-year-old Yolanda Marodi, also known as Yolanda Oleniak. Police say they believe she may have fled to Mexico after the violent attack that ended Marodi's life, and they're asking people to keep their eye out for her or the vehicle they believe she's driving, a 2013 Chevy Equinox, license plate 8BQ J420. And believe it or not, Rebecca's unaliving is not Yolanda's first. She was convicted of voluntary manslaughter in 2003 for unaliving her husband in the very same manner that she ended Rebecca's life, by stabbing him. She was sentenced to 11 years in prison in 2004. And then she was also convicted of drug charges as well. After serving her time in prison, she was released in 2015 and moved to Fallbrook with her children. News reports say she's been married to Marodi for 2 years, and they recently separated. Then, Captain Marodi was found deceased in her home.
Begin tonight with a murder investigation in East County where a woman was killed in Ramona last night. And tonight, we've learned she's been identified as CAL FIRE Captain Rebecca Marodi. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carla Chiquetto.
And I'm Kirsten Holmes, in tonight for Marcella Lee. No one is under arrest right now, but CAL FIRE says they believe Marodi knew her killer. CBS 8's Alex Cheney joins us live from Ramona with more on this story. Alex?
Yeah, that's exactly right. San Diego Sheriff's investigators are still on scene here at the house in Ramona, where they say just last night, CAL FIRE Captain Rebecca Marodi was stabbed and killed. And now the investigation continues into a motive and a possible suspect. CAL FIRE Station 68 in Menifee confirmed in a Facebook post that Captain Rebecca Marodi died after suffering multiple stab wounds at the home she shared with her mother in Ramona. The Riverside County Hazmat team posted this photo of Captain Marodi, congratulating her on her promotion to captain in 2022. The San Diego County Sheriff's Office confirmed that last night around 8:58 p.m. they responded to a call of an assault with a deadly weapon at a house on the 20,000 block of Rancho Villa Road in Ramona. CAL FIRE paramedics arrived and administered life-saving measures. However, sheriffs say Marodi died on scene. Chopper 8 captured this footage of a procession of her body that went from the home in Ramona to the San Diego Medical Examiner's office. Monica Evans, who lives across the street from the home in Ramona, described CAL FIRE Captain Rebecca Marodi as a friendly neighbor.
She was very outgoing. She was very nice. I only met her twice, but she was very sweet and very kind and everything else. Had a sense of humor, too.
Evans said she is emotional about the death and worried about the impact to the neighborhood.
It's very tragic. It's very heartbreaking.
How are you feeling?
Well, I'm about ready to cry if you haven't noticed, but yeah, it's very hard.
In an afternoon release, the San Diego Sheriff's Office said that more than likely the victim and the perpetrator knew each other, so they are now investigating this as a possible domestic violence incident. Reporting here live in Ramona, I'm Alex Cheney, CBS 8.
We first told you about this story on Tuesday night after we learned Captain Becky Marodi, who worked for the Riverside County Division of CAL FIRE, was found stabbed to death in her home on Monday in Ramona in San Diego County. Now tonight we found out her suspected killer is her wife, 53-year-old Yolanda Marodi. Sheriff's investigators believe she is now in Mexico, and they are working with authorities in Baja California to try and locate her. Now, as far as the suspected murderer is concerned, she does have a criminal past. Yolanda pleaded guilty in 2000 to involuntary manslaughter in the stabbing death of her husband, Jim Oliniak. She spent a little over 13 years in prison for that crime, and Yolanda was released on parole in 2015. The victim again in this homicide, firefighter Becky Marodi. Captain Marodi worked for the Cal Fire Station in Murrieta for more than 30 years and was on the front lines of the Eaton fire just last month. On Tuesday, her body was draped in the American flag and escorted by Riverside firefighters on each side of the gurney. Cal Fire has not released a statement since Tuesday when they wrote of Marodi's death, "We stand together in remembrance of her extraordinary life and service." Again, the alleged killer has not yet been caught, and she is believed to be in Mexico. Up in our newsroom, I'm Robert Kovacic. Carolyn, that's the very latest from here.
The search is most definitely on for Yolanda, who could be anywhere at this point. The sheriff's department believes she is Rebecca's killer. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of her. She also goes by Yolanda Olesnichek. Now, she's 53 years old and stands 5'2" and 166 pounds, and she has distinctive arm tattoos. Now, she and Rebecca had been married for 2 years, living in that Ramona home where Rebecca was stabbed to death. Now we're hearing from Lilia Fledger-Phillips. She's the ex-wife of Cal Fire Captain Rebecca Marodi. Here's how she described Rebecca.
She had an incredible sense of humor. She could make anybody laugh. And she was able to connect with everybody.
Now, Fledger-Phillips admits she never met Yolanda, but she says Yolanda and Rebecca's relationship had been described to her as toxic.
Yolanda was very jealous, my understanding. She was very jealous and did not want to have Becky maintaining her friendships that she'd had for years with other women.
Yolanda Marodi has a violent past. She stabbed her former husband to death in San Bernardino back in 2000 and spent nearly 14 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter with a deadly weapon. And now she's wanted for murder and appears to be on the run. She is believed to be driving a silver 2013 Chevrolet Equinox with California license plate 8BQJ420. And she is traveling with a small white dog. And if you do know anything about Yolanda's whereabouts, you're urged to call the sheriff's office, or you can remain anonymous by submitting a tip through Crime Stoppers. In Kearney Mesa, Brian White, CBS 8.
We now know the name of the suspected killer in the stabbing of the Cal Fire captain found dead this week in her home in Ramona. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I am Wale Aliu. Detectives are searching for 53-year-old Yolanda Marodi. She was married to Cal Fire Captain Rebecca Marodi.
ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo was in Ramona tonight, piecing together Yolanda's criminal history.
Well, a family friend told me this evening that Becky's loved ones are not yet ready to speak as they process this tragedy. She did confirm that Marodi and the suspect were married. Yolanda Marodi still on the run tonight. This is Yolanda Marodi, accused in the murder of her wife of 2 years, Cal Fire Captain Rebecca Marodi. Investigators say Rebecca, or Becky, was found with multiple stab wounds inside her Ramona home. She died at the scene. Sheriff's deputies identifying their suspected killer Thursday. The 53-year-old is also known as Yolanda Olenichek, and she has a criminal history. ABC 10 News has learned she pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter in 2003 in San Bernardino County. According to ABC News, she was sentenced to 11 years in prison in 2004, served her time, and got out. Tonight, law enforcement with knowledge of the San Diego sheriff's case tells ABC News Olenichek in that case stabbed her then husband to death.
I just wanted to be able to make a difference.
Rebecca Marodi, a Cal Fire veteran, being remembered for her smile and her passion for her job.
One of the things that everybody has been remarking on is the smile and that laugh.
Most recently, she was out in Altadena helping fight the Eaton fire. This video recorded by Marodi while on assignment.
She was always positive. She was never rude, mean, or grumpy to anybody in any situation at all.
According to ABC News, San Diego County authorities are working with Mexican authorities as Olenichek may have slipped into Mexico. In a statement, a family friend of Becky's thanking the community for the outpouring of support, thanking law enforcement, saying they, quote, look forward to the service of justice. There is a fundraiser for Becky's family you can find on our website, 10news.com. Anyone with information about Yolanda Marodi's whereabouts is asked to call the sheriff's office. In Ramona, Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
Back in 2000, when she was known by the name Yolanda Olenichek. Court records show she was sentenced to 11 years in state prison for voluntary manslaughter after stabbing her then estranged husband to death in Fontana. She had filed for divorce against the victim months earlier and was living in Fallbrook with her 2 children. She went on the run after the stabbing and turned herself into police about 24 hours after the killing, according to published reports. Now Marodi is on the run again, the Sheriff's Department releasing new photos and vehicle information today. The 54-year-old is 5 foot 2 inches tall, about 166 pounds, with tattoos on both arms. And she's believed to be driving a silver 2013 Chevrolet Equinox with license plate 8BQ J420.
For this to happen to Becky is just... in our home, that was the home that we lived in together. It's just unfathomable.
Public records indicate Marodi has a mother who lives in Hemet and 2 adult children, one here in San Diego and one in Texas. I reached out, but none of them responded with a comment for this report. At the Vista Courthouse, David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
I'm Pat Harvey, and we begin tonight with a manhunt going on all across Southern California. Police are looking for a woman who they say killed a veteran Inland Empire fire captain. And that woman, police say, is the fire captain's wife. And KCAL News political reporter Tom Waite joins us now. Tom, what do we know about all of this?
Gosh, Pat, it's just so many disturbing details as we learn more about this story right now. Mike Rogers also digging so much into this as well. Temecula Fire Captain Rebecca Marodi was found stabbed to death in her home Monday night. Investigators say the person who killed her was her wife, and tonight she is on the loose. Temecula Cal Fire Captain Rebecca Marodi, all smiles on Valentine's Day, her wife posting the photo with the caption, "She is an angel." Just days after this post on Monday night, Captain Marodi would be found stabbed to death at her home in northern San Diego County. Her murder is sending shockwaves through the Inland Empire, where Marodi fought fires for 30 years. Marodi's ex-wife of 7 years, Lilia Flager, kept in contact with Marodi and her family. She spoke to us about the horrific crime.
You know, it's of course very shocking. And again, just because a relationship ends, you don't ever want somebody that you once cared for so much to be, to suffer. For this to happen to Becky is just... in our home, that was the home that we lived in together. It's just unfathomable.
The suspect in Captain Marodi's murder is her current wife, Yolanda Marodi, identified by the San Diego County Sheriff as Yolanda Olenichek. Flager tells us there were concerns about the relationship.
It was a typical toxic relationship. Yolanda was very jealous, my understanding. She was very jealous and did not want to have Becky maintaining her friendships that she'd had for years with other women.
Flager believes Olenichek's Instagram posts were all part of a carefully orchestrated cover story, pretending to love Marodi and to hide her jealousy. Marodi was a celebrated captain at the Cal Fire Battalion in Temecula.
She was always positive, always smiling, always there to help people. And I think one of the things that I've heard from most of the people that I've talked to over the last couple of days is it didn't matter what kind of mood you were in when you found out that you were going to work with her for the day. It was going to be a great day.
We've also learned new chilling details about Olinjazak's past. In 2000, she was convicted of killing her then husband in San Bernardino using a knife. She was originally charged with premeditated murder, but pleaded it down to voluntary manslaughter, serving 9 years in state prison. Where she is now is the big question. What she's allegedly done has torn apart a family and a community.
This is solely a case of a toxic relationship gone very, very bad. And that domestic violence is, touches so many more people than we even realize.
Marodi was among the firefighters who risked her life to battle the Eaton fire, trying to save lives and homes as those flames raged. Tonight, the hunt continues for her wife and killer. Pat.
Such a tragic story.
About the relationship between a murdered CAL FIRE captain and her wife, who authorities say is the main suspect behind the homicide.
Our Tony Shin joins us live from Ramona with what he's been learning. Tony, good afternoon.
Yeah, Phil and Christina, good afternoon to you as well. You know, we are hearing from a close family friend of the Marodis who tells me that she had no idea that this murder suspect had such a violent criminal past.
According to a longtime family friend, Becky Marodi had lived in Ramona with her parents since the mid-90s, long before she became a CAL FIRE captain.
She was a very caring person, sweet person. She worked hard to build herself up to fire captain.
Vicky Connor has known the Marodi family for decades. She is also close friends with Lorena, Captain Marodi's mother. She says Becky not only loved saving lives and homes as a firefighter for the past 30 years, she also loved the animals she cared for at her home on Rancho Villa Road.
They actually had like a little sanctuary there for horses. So the horses that you see there are rescues.
Vicky says she was devastated to find out what happened inside this home on Monday night. That's when sheriff's investigators say Yolanda Olenichuk stabbed to death the 49-year-old fire captain who was based in Riverside County.
I was just stunned. All I could do was sit there with Lorena and just kept rubbing her back and telling her it would be okay. You just become numb.
According to a friend and also a colleague of Marodi's who didn't want to be identified, Becky and Yolanda were married for about 2 years, but recently split up for an unknown reason. Vicky says she didn't really know Yolanda and only met her once in passing.
Did you have any idea she had this criminal history?
No, especially her working where she did with people with physical therapy and taking personal information from them.
Vicky says Yolanda was a receptionist at a local physical therapy business. So we dug into her past and found out in the early 2000s in San Bernardino County, she pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter in the stabbing death of her estranged husband, James Joseph Olenichuk. Court records show she had children with him, and the two had previously filed for divorce in Vista. Along with voluntary manslaughter, Yolanda was also convicted of possession of drugs or alcohol in jail, and altogether sentenced to 13 years and 8 months in prison. She was imprisoned from February 2004 until her release in November 2013. Now, this 53-year-old woman is accused in another stabbing death, and sheriff's investigators are spreading this flyer in Mexico with information about her SUV because they believe she could be hiding there.
If you see her and you recognize her, just stay away and, of course, call the police.
So far, sheriff's investigators have not released what they think is the motive for this murder. Meantime, we checked public court records, and apparently the couple may have had some serious financial troubles. Meantime, if you would like to help the Marodi family, just go to our website. We have a link to their fundraiser. That's the latest from here. Reporting live in Ramona, I'm Tony Shin.
This story is getting stranger and stranger by the day. And the more details are coming out, the more difficult it's getting to wrap your head around. Yolanda married her husband, had children, unalived him, went on the run, was caught, and went to prison, and was released. She got her children back, lived with them in Fallbrook, got a second chance at life and freedom, met Becky Marodi, married her, unalived her, and is now back on the run. Makes no sense. But now we need to pray that she's caught soon before she unalives anybody else. I can't imagine she has anything left to lose at this point. Please, consider sharing out Yolanda's information so we can get all eyes looking out for her. She's dangerous, and by now, she could be anywhere. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this update. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on my next video.